but I'd just be buying no matter what's going on.
Right. I agree with modern, where I feel sorry for everybody that's involved. But I think we've had two crises in the Middle East so far this year, and hopefully this one they'll resolve it fast. Maybe early next week, possibly tomorrow. We never know. And then everything will be back to normal. We'll be talking about another news topic. Nothing's going to change though on my end of my investing. Nothing's, I'm in index funds and my stocks that I have. I'm not affected by, any kind of little conflict that we have.
Yeah, I just found it interesting how the U.S. stock market just tanked. And so for me, I think it's pretty interesting how crisis can happen so far away from us, but somehow we get dragged into everything. And then now our market starts to tank, and then defense and oil starts to go up a little bit. And just kind of like that whole spectacle is just very interesting to me how people, well, like, not to get like super political right now, but I just thought the whole aspect of, war away from us that have really no involvement with us per se just affects us secondary. And so I just think I kind of want to see where our stock market just kind of resists something like that. Because truly, in my opinion, we really shouldn't be diving into all of that because that's been brewing between them two for like a minute now anyway.
Right. I agree with you. And something that Modern said also, whenever something does happen, there's always rotation inside of our stock market. And we already saw that on Friday where people were going to more defensive plays and getting out of more risky plays. So money's just going to move around. And then once it settles and whatever happens over there is concluded, then money will go back to the way it was and move around. So yeah, that's an interesting part. Yeah.
Honestly, I would be more worried about the crypto market than the stock market personally. I just think that when volatility is introduced, crypto is always the one to overreact for the most part. I mean, it's already volatile for no reason. Um, so that'll be interesting to see. It's really hard to answer when I can't predict the future, and it's the last thing I want to do is have an opinion that or tell somebody what I think and it's just completely wrong. Um, but this has been such an interesting year, and we'll have more stuff come up, and just gotta keep doing what you gotta do, and just stay the course.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you 100% on the crypto market getting affected the most. That will definitely be interesting to see. Because yeah, crypto definitely reacts to news of any kind very swiftly too. Like in the drop of a dime, it'll shift in either direction. So yeah, you got a good point there. Definitely the crypto market more than anything.
Yeah. I think that's why I talk so much about more of income and trying to make as much money as possible, because you really can't control anything the markets do, whether it's precious metals, stock market, crypto, whatever. The only thing that you can do yourself is to try to make as much money as you possibly can, and obviously invest it in things you have high conviction in. But there's really nothing you can do with you can't control anything in the markets. So you really just got to work on controlling what you can control.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. Definitely. And also work on building that savings too around it too. Cause like we've said before, you know, sometimes the best move is no move when it comes to, the market. Sometimes you just want to build that dry powder up, you know what I'm saying? And like if you can't figure out which way you want to go with it, just add money to your brokerage, let it earn that APY until you're ready to make a move.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see if the defensive stocks pick up in the next week. Just because a lot of the times when there's volatility, that's what ends up doing well. Um, but honestly, yeah, I don't really know. What's up, money?
Yeah, with the savings, I agree. For me, I like to have a lot of savings because it gives me peace of mind, and yeah, it's a good backup basically, and it makes investing so much more fun because you feel like you have less to lose than you go all in. But with the wars, something interesting in Europe is happening because I'm of the part of Europe, and like the news in Belgium is saying, you have to stock cash in your house in case something with Russia happens. So that's also very interesting in the way of um, maybe if there is a big crisis or a big war in Europe happening, then the way of investing and currency is all gonna change. This you also have to prepare for that a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, man. Savings is definitely a good thing to have, especially with like the way I look at it is when you don't have a savings built around your investments, it opens an opportunity. You know, it opens the door for you to do things like have to reach into your investments when something happens in your life, like any pretty much anything. So building a savings is very important, so you don't gotta ever touch your investments unless it's like you're taking profits or something that you need to do. Hey, what's good, Venture? I seen you just got a mic. What's on your mind, man?
Nothing. I just I almost fell asleep while I was driving. I just made it home. I'm tired of taking my son from his basketball game, but I was thinking about rebuilding the portfolio, touching on last week, talking about debt payoff and things like that. Now I realize I got to be a bit of a hybrid with that, and I'm not really concerned about getting it down to zero like most people normally do. I'm more so concerned about getting back to those, utilizing those 0% APR offers. Once I get back to there, or at least once I get back to, like they say, at least beating that favorable interest rate where my investments can outweigh the outcome of the debt, then we back in the green. So that's really what I've been focusing on. So I've been trying to figure out, playing off of John and Elijah and all those things. I need to make I did this before, but I don't know if I can. I'm gonna try to attempt the Hail Mary again, like really invest my way out of I guess my situation, which I can do once I get those rates and all those things down to those numbers I want to, and then I understand like for the interest rates I have to at least be a 20% APY. I'm like have a feeling I can do it if I do it with crypto. So I'm trying to figure out a way to build out my portfolio in a way where it encompasses a little bit of everything, but more so leaning more of it toward like I guess like crypto and things like that because I know those if you get into the right things and you study the right things, you can easily beat APY because I've did it a couple times by accident. But I guess anybody's a genius in the bear market. But anyway, just I just been trying to figure out the best way to make my own portfolio stand out and try to figure out I call it a VETF in a way, but trying to figure out a way to utilize my portfolio to something I could see myself DCAing in because I wanted to make a combination of things, just learning from everybody I learned throughout the space. Mix a little bit of Bitcoin in there, a little bit of ETFs in there, a little bit of altcoins in there, and just try to figure out my way to make my own mix. Like that's where I'm at with it right now, just figuring that out. And also I made some progress. I made some headway on the debt, by the way, too. Paid off like so I paid off 3 of 6 credit cards last week, so I'm already making headway. Like ironically, I guess if I start complaining on spaces, people hit me up and tell me they got my money all of a sudden. So it helped me like really consolidate things in a good way. So it's the utilization's moving forward. The credit score jumped up 50 points, things like that. So moving toward the positive, just sticking to the plan. Tuning in with y'all guys to see what I can add to it every week. Take a little bit from everybody.
Yeah, no, I like that, bro. And I also like that you're making content out of it, bro, because I'm sure there's plenty of people that can, look at what you're doing and get motivated off of that and start working towards, building their own credit and getting themselves out of debt. You know what I'm saying? I had a question. What app do you use to consolidate all your debt together on one interface like that?
I was actually that's just the basic numbers app on the iPhone. I just figured out a way to play with the settings and try to make my own formulas with the sums and things like that and rename things. But it's just a basic iPhone app.
Oh, okay, okay, I got you. No, that's dope, bro. Cause yeah, I think you're onto something. Turning that into content too, bro.
Oh yeah,
Because
that's one
there's plenty of people out there, that got debt to fix.
that's one thing I
So
realized,
hey,
man. Everything is content if you want it to be, but beyond that, they might get mad at my debt free journey. I might pay it off a little too quick. So, but I'm still going to at least document it, and I also want to show people like it's more than one way. You can Dave Ramsey it out, or you can just you can invest your way out. Because I've did that before. I did a little bit. I do a little bit. I always do a hybrid of like velocity banking and debt payoff at the same time. But I ain't gonna harp on it too long.
Congrats on paying off 3 out of 6, man. That's awesome. I was curious. What's your game plan for that? Are you tackling the highest interest rate so far? Have you just been paying off the lowest balance, or what's kind of your thinking of going about that?
I spent like 2 days arguing with Grok because I had my own logic of what I thought, but it was really like looking at the numbers, and then I said, okay, let me overlay this in the Grok to get a second opinion. So I started understanding the long game of getting the highest APYs out the way, and I had some. You can almost see like from when my credit was, I mean, the 750s to when it came down to the 600s and everything happened. You can see like how the credit card offers got worse and worse and worse. So I started with the most recent ones. I got like I had one that was like a 31% APY. I said this is ridiculous. I cleared that one out, and then I cleared out the 27. It's getting more reasonable. I think my best rate, and I think they raised rates, but my best rate is like a 21%. But even then, I started from the highest to the lowest as far as APYs and putting minimum payments to the side. Like, let me just focus on making the money streamlined, instead of just focusing on the saving the monthly payment. So we're knocking those out. I knocked out a good chunk. Think about going for another one, but trying to figure out what's the best. I guess the best setup going forward. Now I'm starting to kind of get some headway.
yeah, that's dope, bro, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man. That's motivating, and I know you're motivating a lot of people. So yeah, that's dope, man. Taking care of debt's a big step in the right direction, bro, for sure. And it opens up so many more doors. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, keep that up, bro. That's what's up.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, keep doing that and see what other opens coming. With you doing this, that something else might happen. You might figure out. I don't know if you are going to try to do something similar to mine, where you're going to get some cashback cards and and start another cashback account and start it up and have another dividend account going.
Oh yeah, man, John, you really hit the. I really like what you're doing with that. I never really thought about, like normally people use the rewards, they just go buy a pizza or something. You know what I mean? Like I like how I'm like now like the reward compounding rewards, and you just constantly get into it in a way where it's like the money's like that's what I'm really getting to now, like understanding my journey and how I got here and everything like that. I'm starting to understand like I want to keep the money, I want to keep my principal and make money on that money, but even if it's credit card rewards. So I'm trying to work more credit up to that point to like where the utilization is even and all out, and then I can get access to those, those APRs, those bonuses, those spending bonuses, all those things can be compounded. So I'm most definitely looking up to you in that regard and figuring out, I'm like, man, I left a lot of free money on the table because I had a couple of those cards. I still got the Discover card that you mentioned up there, and I'm like, I could take advantage of that because I've allowed you to bank on one, and then I try to, and I got one today. It's not necessarily a 2%, but it's 1.5. I'm like, hey, it makes a big difference, and I start comparing around. Like, I got to be more intentional with my rates because for the longest time I used to use my Coinbase card for everything. Try to be a crypto Dave Ramsey, but I'm like, when you start putting those interest rates up there, I'm like, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table, even if it is fiat. I'm like, I gotta I gotta really be smart about this thing. So yeah, I'm definitely taking some hints from you, and as things go on into the future, I'm definitely gonna be figuring out the best way to churn these credit cards. And also, I remember when I used to have like certain bank accounts too. Like, even if I was like, I know I got a cashback debit card, but I don't use it like that. But take advantage of some offers, new banks, new, first customer loans and all those things. I'll try to figure out a way to like roll me in and have me a little hybrid account of what you're doing and see if everybody try to trap their they assets on Coinbase for that, those Bitcoin wars. Like I'm trying to like, utilize all the things, but yeah, definitely looking at your template. It's definitely nice.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Yeah, man, you're killing it. It's just something cool, and it's sort of weird to think about when you look at the numbers and the charts. That's just credit card rewards that I've invested over, I think, almost 3 years now, and now I'm making this next month, I think, over $18 a month now in dividends. And that little account, I say little, it's almost $1,800 now. So my goal is to let that ride, and in 5 years I'll be able to go play golf, and that'll pay for most of my golf rounds when I go play. So I'll be playing with dividends that are just from my credit card rewards.
Man, that's dope. I like the way you think. That's like real long term investing, but also once I remember I used to have a checking account and it was sitting full of money. I'm like, once I learned to like start investing, whether no matter what it was, like once I seen like I earned 16 cents on my dollar, or felt like okay, we need to put as much of this money in play as possible. But you definitely got the long term goal of like you're gonna make your rewards pay long term rewards, long term dividends. That's a nice mindset.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree, man. There's a lot of notes to be taken from how John, breaks down those charts with the building credit and letting that work for him, and buying ETFs with it too, and you make letting it help him do things that he wants to do without reaching into other accounts. So yeah, I admire that too, bro. That's good stuff right there.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, anybody got anything else on their mind? Anything they're looking at in the market or anything?
One thing I'm looking at, I'm trying to learn how to evaluate. There's two things I saw hit my feed this week. One was a crypto and one was a stock. And I don't really know how to necessarily evaluate these things, but I can tell when there is at least potential there. But I don't know. We'll see. One of them was Lucid, Tesla competitor. Just looking at it, need to figure out a way to evaluate it, but it just looks disastrously on sale in my eyes. Coming from a person that I accumulated a lot of different things and seen them accidentally explode, and then normally be like something I would look at. And then the other one was this token called Cake. I think it's the native token for crypto going into crypto BNB's Pancake Swap. I sometimes when I do like take speculative investments, I literally just look at what the return could be, and then that's how I put the fuel under my fire. Then I would like slowly DCA into it and see if I want to keep the position, and that would encourage me to start learning about it. For those two of the ones I've been just had on my radar, but nothing too crazy about it. I just do some more research on it later.
So yeah, I think I've heard of Cake. I've never really dove into it too much or invested in it. But me personally, when it comes to crypto projects, um, I like to look at the tokenomics. You know what I'm saying? Like cap supply, total supply, circulating supply. See if that all matches up good. You also want to look into like if they have token unlock periods, because that also affects the price and how much it can grow if they can just dump tokens on the market whenever they feel like it. I'll have to look into that one for sure though. I also like where it's at, especially like where we're at in the bull run on the crypto side and how it's been performing compared to others, because you got some things that aren't performing as they should with the sentiment we're in. You know what I mean? So there's that's just me personally how I look at it. Of course, there's when you're talking about taking like taking on like a more speculative play that you're willing to take the risk on. I figured none of that really matters as much, but I've gotten to a point where I try to, I'm trying to find the best plays all around. Um, and what was that car company you were talking about? Was it a car company?
Oh yeah, it's the electric car company. It's one of Tesla's earlier competitors called Lucid. I don't remember where it used to be. I think I got it early on, like years ago, and I think I got it around where it's at now, and it ran up to like I don't know what happened. It just I don't know if it's short squeeze or what, but it ran up to like $50 a share or something like that. I might be talking about the wrong one, but it was one of those. And then right now it's sitting at like $2.15, and they've been talking about like they delivering their earnings and things like that. But I ain't like I know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm like I've just been looking at it, trying to figure out how the best way to evaluate if it's going to be a good long term investment because it's definitely cheap enough not me for me to feel like I definitely lost anything, but just long term, seeing if it's actually like they say buy number one and buy number two. So most people know crypto, buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, and then you got USDT, USDC. Like so, I'm like looking at Tesla, and I don't really know who's second. That's why I'm just speculating.
I don't know anything about the cake, but I can comment on Lucid. Now, Lucid, the vehicles themselves, they are really nice, upper end, and extremely fast. I believe they still hold the fastest quarter mile for any production car, the Lucid Air. It outran the Tesla Model S Plaid. But with the stock, I'm not sure about it and the fundamentals and the earnings they've had. I know they've been struggling. The other one that I sort of like, I don't own, is Rivian. That's the one that I would sort of look at and research and compare it to also. If you're looking at other EVs to look on besides Tesla, I do like Rivian more because I think they actually made a profit. I'm not sure this last quarter or they're getting close to being profitable, which is a big deal. But I would check that out. Lucid.
I got you, John. I'm gonna take a look at that. I'm just speculating, but I definitely try to. One thing about me, I try to invest in either what's up next or like what's maybe gonna be the new railroads. Not 100% certain. You never know, but just speculating. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely take a look into that, and definitely gotta learn these PE ratios and all those things as well. But I appreciate it.
Talking about one, two, three, I would say Rivian's definitely three. I would say Tesla's two, and I would say BYD is number one. They're just not an American company. But if we're talking cars, it's not Tesla, personally. But Rivian's definitely following Tesla.
Do you know just off the top of your head if they were profitable last quarter, or am I just remembering wrong?
Honestly, I'm really not sure. I don't pay attention that too hard into it. I just follow a lot of people that talk about it a lot. And honestly, there's a ton of Rivians in my area. The only time I've ever seen Lucid cars, they're down astronomically in price because a lot of the times you can't source their parts anymore. Um, but car companies aren't really my forte. But if I had to invest in any, it would be BYD, Tesla, or Rivian.
Yeah, the only car company I'm invested in is Tesla, and that's more like because because Elon does so much, and I've always been a fan of everything he does. So it's deeper than the car company. But outside of that, yeah, I'm not 100% on the car company moves. But I have heard a lot about Rivian too, if that's how you say it, Rivian. I've heard about them. I haven't heard of BYD. BYD?
BYD,
BYD?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I wouldn't even say Tesla's a car company because it's never traded on anything to do with the revenue or the amount of sales or anything like that. All of it's just future innovation and the things that they can do in the future. I mean, because even if you look at the robotaxi, that has nothing to do with car sales. That has everything to do with innovation. I still think Tesla's a great company. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't really consider it a car company because you look at Ford, it trades on how it does in car sales every year. Tesla has never traded on fundamentals ever, and I doubt it will continue to.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I definitely do because yeah, I've never looked at it like I was investing in a car company. Definitely more like AI, robotics, and stuff like that for sure. So yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Hey, Digital, I have a question for you if you want to talk about it. Is your IPO with Circle and how it's going, and what are you looking at moving forward? Are you going to hold that, or are you going to get or take some profit off the table?
So honestly, bro, I'm holding that because honestly, I wish I didn't take profit. You know what I mean? Because like it's moving so strong, bro. Like it even the dip that I was gonna buy, but I'm like, and I always preach there's you can't time the market and stuff. So I was like honestly going against it in a way because I was waiting for it to dip to a certain level and it touched 104 and then the next day shot up to 132. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just a reminder like when something resonates with you, just go for it, man, and ignore all the noise. But yeah, so I'm definitely looking at it long term because, like I said, with that particular investment, I'm looking more at the timing of when it IPO'd and the position it's in, being the second, not only the second crypto company to go public, because Coinbase is the first. Um, I'm also looking at the stable coin adoption I'm seeing and everything around it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I feel like they put themselves in a good position, and if they capitalize on it moving forward, it can be a really good investment. So as of right now, I'm definitely looking at it as a long term investment.
Oh, that's good. I just noticed whenever that shot up on 2 days ago, I think it went up 38% that one day. I said, "Oh man, Digital's having a good day."
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, and it's funny because like it also makes me realize like like we've all discussed before and it's like no matter what you invest in, there's always going to be a group of people that try to tell you that it's the wrong move or this or that or whatever it may be. But always just follow your gut and go with what resonates with you. Because I can't think of a time that I've gotten into an investment on on the strength of the signs being there. You know what I'm saying? Like the timing, the what what position is it in its niche, and how many competitors does it have? Because I don't think there's that's another thing. They don't have any competitors. There's no other thing that's IPO'd to compete with it. So it's like it's the fourth the how do you say it? It's the lead of the pack pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I just feel like they're in a very good position. And of course, anything could happen. I'm not saying everybody should start FOMOing into it now, but I followed my gut on the IPO and it worked out and it's continuing to do good so far. So I'm going to definitely keep accumulating it. And yeah, I'm definitely not waiting for a dip. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to start hitting it up on paydays and just add it to my DCA. Cause yeah, I definitely have a good vibe about the Circle IPO. Well, further than the IPO, this IPO went good, but I have a vision in it long term, man. Because I feel like stable coins are gonna get widely adopted as a technology before a lot of the cryptos, because there's so much speculative things still surrounding a lot of those crypto coins and companies. But yeah, Circle, man, I don't know, man. That one's definitely it's literally been my top performer, bro, out of anything I have in my portfolio.
Oh, I'm sure it's been killing it. Yeah, we'll have to. I'll be watching it with you. I won't be buying any, but I'll be watching it for a while.